Hi guys, how's it going? Ivano here, and today I want to talk about the PTS where I tested the new tactical for PowerTech called Energized Vambrace. So this is the new tactical Energized Vambrace, and as you can see, every time you get an energy load, you will get one of these 4 stacks down there, which will then buff the damage of your energy burst, rail shot, the bleed on gut, which is of course your dot, and also magnetic blast. You can see these stacks, they last for 10 seconds, and you lose them, they are gone, you have to build them all again. However, as you will see in a second when I start parsing here, the stacks are not consumed on energy burst. So let's jump into a parse. This is how we test. I measure everything with star parse. We're doing our normal opener. And as you can see, some nice high damage numbers. The stacks are persisting, so even though I am energy bursting, I do keep the stacks. And every time I use rail shot now, I build another energy load, these stacks will refresh. So this 20% damage buff on most of my main DPS abilities will always be up, which is a nice buff for sustained damage. So the cases where you will lose this buff in a war zone would be very, very rare. Maybe if you have some downtime, if you just kept a node or you're defending, of course, then you can lose them. But you can just use your regeneration ability to top up the stacks and keep them active at all times. So I think overall the tactical should be pretty nice, should be pretty easy to keep those up as long as you keep your rotation going. As long as you keep building the energy loads, you should always have 4 stacks of this. So a couple of words about how I test this. I typically just go to the PTS, I go to the Rishi Stronghold because there you have the same stats as you will have in the war zones. And then I do a couple of parses. For me, the one that I always do is roughly 7.5 billion. That gives me time to get 3 explosive fuels in when I test on AP. So in total we passed 4 times with the new tactical and 4 times up to 7.5 million with the old tactical, which in this case was neural trigger, so that doesn't buff your damage at all. And then we simply recorded all the values, so that's damage per second, that's the APM, which is fairly consistent. Obviously that's not affected by the new tactical at all. The total critical rate, which you can see I got a little bit lucky when I passed with the new tactical and a little bit unlucky when I passed with the old tactical, so there's quite a difference here. But I wasn't going to pass all of this again just to average it out, so it is what it is. And then I compared the biggest thermal detonator, the biggest energy burst that I got, the average energy burst, rail shots, gut, which is the bleed that gets buffed by the tactical, and magnetic blast. And I just recorded the highest values which I got during the parse as well as the average values. Now, summing this all up in the pivot table, this is how it looks, the comparison between the new tactical and the old tactical. And as you can expect, the new tactical with an average of 32,000 DPS on the Warzone training dummy does a little bit better. It does about 8% better, which is worse than I expected when doing the math. I think it might be connected to some of these other things that we see here. So damage on the new tactical is about 8% higher compared to the old tactical. My APM when I parsed is pretty good. Obviously on the PTS, there's not too much lag. So I got around 50 APM on average. Actually a little bit better with the old tactical. But I think that's just random due to lag or my own performance, because this shouldn't be affected by the tactical at all. When it comes to crit, I got a little bit lucky when passing with the new tactical with an average of 55.5%. I already mentioned this. With the old tactical, I got a little bit unlucky. So we can expect that the, let's say, real damage difference, if the crit would have been the same, would have been a little bit less than 8% overall. However, what surprised me most is that the damage differential in energy burst, both in the maximum hits that I got, as well as in the average hits, was not about 20%, which was, you know, what the technical description states, but merely 3 to 4%. So this is a bit surprising. It is, however, consistent with the test that I did for, I think, Berserker's implant, which is supposed to be a 3% buffer for all damage, but somehow energy burst is not benefiting as much as you would expect it. I think that has something to do with how energy burst works with regards to the base and the bonus damage, but I'm not sure. So if someone knows that better than me, how it actually works in the background or in the code, then please let me know. So Energy Burst seems not to profit as much as the other attacks from this new tactical. You can see on the rail shot, I gained 14% damage for the biggest hit. In fact, I got some 60k crits with rail shot, which is quite nice compared to the old tactical, where my average biggest hit was 52k over these 4 passes. And then on the rail shot average, we are gaining 16%, which is quite a nice DPS boost. And it's actually similar when you look at gut. Roughly a 16% DPS boost, and then when it comes to Magnetic Blast, we are somewhere in the same range, between 13-15%. So all of these skills seem to be working about the same with the new tactical Energized Vambrace. However, it is not the case for Energy Burst, unfortunately. So these 110k energy bursts that I was expecting, looks like we're not going to be seeing those. However, still it is a nice and much needed damage boost for PowerTech. And together with a nerf on Neural Trigger, I surely will be using this tactical when it comes out. I'll do some further testing and will update you guys on my findings over the next couple of days. As always, if you like this video, please remember to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.